I think emotion is hot at the table, and it is not emanating from me. Mar-a-Lago, you remember the documents?
Let's focus on this case. We can do a lot.
You always do that.
No, Jessica, you're doing a laundry list.
Really? You just judge Edgar on this too.
When we're focused on one topic.
Today's episode of The Five, a show on the Fox Propaganda Network, exploded with tension when liberal commentator Jessica Tarlov was forced to fact-check her 4 right-wing MAGA-loving co-hosts about a variety of topics, ranging from criticism of President Biden from a prominent progressive commentator, Donald Trump's many legal challenges, and the implosion of the Biden impeachment inquiry. And it's glorious. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert buttons before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, we have many clips to look at in this video. So suffice it to say, Jessica Tarlov, again, the only sane voice in the Fox Propaganda Network, is not only forced to spar with 4 others who are in perfect unison in their MAGA cult delusions, but also on a wide range of topics, and things get pretty heated. But before I play the clip of her, I want to start with clips from Charlemagne the God, who is a prominent progressive commentator. I've talked about him before on my channel. He's the host of The Breakfast Club. He's somebody who voted for President Biden and Vice President Harris in 2020. He prefers them and their record to the Republicans, but in his estimation, he's very fed up with what he perceives to be Democratic fecklessness, and he thinks that this race is entirely too close unjustifiably. So he criticizes President Biden, and I'm going to play the clip in which he does, and then I'm going to play Jessica Tarlov's response to it, its refutation, and then we're going to play some more. But here's the context for the first clip I'm going to play of Jessica Tarlov.
Like, he should be leaning on people who are more inspiring than him, who are more charismatic than him, and he should just be, I guess, if you want to call it, the brains of the operation behind the scenes. Like, that sounds crazy that we're saying that about a president of the United States of America, but he has no main character energy at all. None.
And what is...
So the crux of the particular criticism that Charlemagne makes that the Fox Propaganda Network tries to run with is the idea that President Biden lacks main character energy, which is a slang expression. Basically, he lacks the charisma and force of personality that Charlemagne would like to see. The personality, the main character energy of President Obama, President Clinton, or even, as Charlemagne the God would later say in that clip, Donald Trump. Now, there's an argument to be made there. It's not the first time it's been made that Joe Biden lacks the blatant charisma and the force of personality. But then the question becomes, is that really what you're looking for in a president, or is it just a nice bonus? Is that the thing that's going to swing your vote? Jessica Tarlov makes the case when she shuts down Fox's weaponization of Charlemagne's comments. She makes the case that you should probably be looking at something else.
And main character energy, yes, it is a great saying. But main character energy, to most Democrats I talk to, is being able to deliver 81 million votes in 2020, or to get this legislation passed, or to oversee the most successful midterms for a party not in power in the House. That is main character energy. We want to win more than anything else because Donald Trump, the sneaker con scion, is the guy on the other side of it. So that's what I think people are paying attention to.
So that's her argument, and I agree, right? So at the end of the day, the president, yes, is head of state, right? So there is a charisma element to it, right? Because you're supposed to be the one national representative. The presidency is the only federal office in which all 50 states participate in its election. But you're also head of government. You're also commander-in-chief of the armed forces, right? You're the chief executive. You're the chief administrator of the government. So then the question is, what's more important? You know, you take Donald Trump, who, by definition, it's perplexing to me, but by definition, he's a very charismatic man. He's also a fascist and a moron. And then you have President Biden, who may lack, again, the charisma, right, which is subjective. A lot of people find President Biden perfectly charismatic in his, affable Uncle Joe, Scranton Joe, Dark Brandon type of way. But what's not in question is that he's an infinitely objectively better legislator, executive, and administrator than Donald Trump. And really, if at the end of the day, these skill sets are in diametric opposition, and you have to choose between a charismatic candidate who is inept and incompetent at running a country, or, just this anodyne, vanilla figurehead who is actually really good at running a country, then maybe a rational person should vote for the person who is the executive, the legislator, right? But I also want to play, before we go back to Jessica Tarlov, some other clips from that same ABC interview with Jonathan Karl, in which Charlemagne the God makes his disdain for the Republican Party and for Donald Trump objectively abundant. And he also makes it clear he finds them more despicable and more disappointing than the Democrats.
Why?
This is the first time in my life when people say things like, this person is a threat to democracy. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely true. And it's mind-boggling to me that, nobody is taking it as serious as I feel like they should. Like, we watched an attempted coup of this country happen on January 6th. And everybody's acting like it was just a bunch of people, wilding at spring break, down in Florida. Yeah. Like, we literally watched, people try to overthrow the government because they didn't like the results of an election.
So again, he makes it very clear that Donald Trump, in his estimation, is a fascist and insurrectionist, somebody who tried to overthrow the government. And in case it's not clear, I also want to play this one more clip where he really drives the point home.
Do you think Trump's going to win?
I don't know, but that's what's scary about it, right? Because when you look at everything he's done, right? The attempted coup of this country, put the Supreme Court judges on who got rid of Roe v. Wade, takes credit, says, I am the one who got rid of Roe v. Wade. Me, I did that. When you see all of that, it really shouldn't be close, right?
It really shouldn't be close. So what Charlemagne the God is saying, if you compare Joe Biden's record to Donald Trump's record, Joe Biden is just the objectively more rational choice. So again, what's funny is the Fox Propaganda Network does to Charlemagne the God what they always do to Bill Maher. They take very specific, select, and I assume very well-intentioned and sincere criticisms of President Biden and the Democratic Party, and then they weaponize it to say, see, even liberal commentators or progressive commentators, they hate Joe Biden, they hate the Democrats, you might as well vote for Trump. When it's actually the exact opposite. Right or wrong, Charlemagne's frustrations are because he knows that Donald Trump is dumber, less competent, infinitely more dangerous, and is a fascist. And so, again, whether you agree with his criticisms or not, he wants the Democrats to do better. So I just love how they try to cherry pick this stuff. Now, to get to where the sparks start to fly. So that was Jessica shutting down the fives or the four of the five, their bad faith weaponization of Charlemagne the God's comments. Then the topic turns to Donald Trump's many legal challenges. And you can see that she really she hits a sore spot with the others there.
I think emotion is hot at the table, and it is not emanating from me. So since Donald Trump ran the first time, he has been making this argument. If they could do this to me, they could do this to you. The average person is not inflating their wealth by $800 million to $2.2 billion. They're not sexually assaulting women. They're not storing classified documents in the toilet. They're not fomenting an insurrection.
What?
Mar-a-Lago, you remember the documents?
Let's focus on this case. We can do a lot.
You always do that.
No, Jessica, you're doing a laundry list.
Really? You
You're
just
doing
said
a
Judge
laundry
Edgar on
list
this too.
when we're focused on one topic. We're focused on one topic.
Okay.
And yes, it does matter.
Falsifying your business records. Do you do that?
No, I'll tell you what I do.
So no. So he's like, no, I don't do what Donald Trump does. And Greg Gutfeld is a MAGA shill. He's very wealthy, very powerful. But even he, at least as far as we know, doesn't do what Donald Trump has done, which again just goes to underscore the point. Donald Trump has convinced tens of millions of people that he's just some sort of humble, salt of the earth, man of the people, kind of like blue collar guy, even though he is a billionaire real estate mogul and idiot from New York, right? He's convinced these people that he is a bulwark between the Justice Department and the people. But the things that the Justice Department and other prosecutors have gone after Trump for are things that these people aren't doing, right? Probably the average MAGA voter and supporter are not billionaires, wildly inflating the value of their assets in order to reap financial benefits from it at the expense of entire states. They're probably not stealing and hoarding national defense information, sensitive national defense information, defying the relevant authorities who demand them back quietly and scheming to keep them away from those relevant authorities. They're probably not trying to overthrow the government. They're probably not trying to overturn a free and fair election in order to install themselves into an unelected second term. They've probably not sexually assaulted a woman and then defamed her, right? So the entire logic doesn't apply. It doesn't withstand even a modicum of critical thinking. And you can tell that triggers those on the five because they're probably smart enough to know better, but they don't want the Fox viewers to know, like, oh my God, yeah, it doesn't make sense at all when Donald Trump says, I'm just protecting you. If they can do it to me, they can do it to you. Because then the follow-up question is, well, we're not doing what you're doing, Donald. So why would they do to us what they're doing to you when we haven't done what you're doing, right? But it goes beyond that too. So Jesse Waters is very upset about the implosion of the Biden impeachment inquiry because the FBI informant, whose allegations were at the very heart of the predicate of the investigation, it was found out that he made false statements to the FBI with respect to those allegations against President Biden.
Fair treatment. You're looking at a mountain of evidence where the guy doesn't even have a business card. The Bidens don't even have a website, and there's diamonds missing, there's tax fraud. He's sitting down to dinner with Russian billionaires and then leaving them off the sanctions list. Donald Trump, you can see what he does. No one's complaining about this. Bidens are ripping people off, and then they're getting away with it.
Could we talk about the FBI informant? That was a total con.
Yeah, no, it's not a con. He's arresting the guy that blew the whistle.
The special counsel just came out with it.
He's arresting the guy that blew the whistle on him, Jessica.
Oh, okay.
All right, just like they did with the Israeli. How come they don't arrest?
And I would argue that wasn't respectful.
How come?
So again, Jesse Waters and the Five can't handle it, right? Well, you were the one who hung you and your side, you and your party were the ones who hung your entire hopes on these allegations in the first place. Maybe you should have had them properly vetted before you cast aspersions at the sitting president. And I love his excuse. Well, Donald Trump is so blatant, so obvious. He's public. He publicizes how much of a crook and a fraud and a liar he is. Nobody cares. It's all about Hunter Biden. Who cares? Hunter Biden right now is being federally indicted by a special counsel, same special counsel, in fact, who just arrested the confidential human source, Alexander Smirnov, for making false statements to the FBI. Same special counsel. President Biden has allowed a Trump-appointed special counsel to prosecute his own son. So justice is being served. What are you complaining about? But it's just because, again, not only do they grade Trump on a curve, to them, there is no timeline in the multiverse where Donald Trump can ever be held accountable for his crimes. It is inherently, objectively, in their mind, injustice to hold Donald Trump accountable for his misdeeds. Some other clips I want to play just real quick. Jeanine Pirro on the Five on the same panel. She's triggered by the topic of a video that we did earlier today about how historians rank Donald Trump as one of the worst presidents in the history, or the worst president in the history of this country.
And what a bunch of historical malarkey. A group of self-proclaimed experts on the presidency just ranked Joe Biden as the 14th best president in history, while giving Trump last place.
Yeah, if anything, you could probably blame these historians and political scholars for Donald Trump probably should have been graded 48th out of 47 presidents. I digress. Or 46, rather. It's probably too generous to even give him last place. Another clip I want to play, it's not just Jeanine Pirro, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's also Dana Perino, who's supposedly like the straight right-wing news anchor of the group. She also lies.
Judge, I did wonder about this, that the judge, there was no jury. And why did they even, if the judge was just going to do this anyway, why did they make President Trump come up over and over again and sit in the courtroom for days to try to basically get what was going to happen anyway?
So they're talking about the $355 million judgment that Trump is going to have to pay in his New York fraud case. The problem was Trump was never forced to be there. He chose to be there. The judge never required that Trump sit in trial. He made that choice himself. But Dana Perino tries to spin it as this crazy left-wing judge was forcing President Trump to have to sit there as he bilks him for $355 million. And that's coming from the one who's supposed to be, again, like the hard or straight news person, right? Everyone on that panel, not named Jessica Tarlov, is a complete joke. They are no match for her. Woe be unto them. Their one saving grace is that they outnumber her 4-1 and they can constantly heckle and try to interrupt her. But anyway, just a terrible performance by the Five. Sterling performance by Jessica Tarlov. Great stuff per usual. Let me know what you think in the comments.